Well, what was that like? Was it exciting to be part of that air armada, or was it unnerving at the same time? What were your feelings?
Not unnerving. I mean, as far as we could tell, I mean, we didn't have any fighters at us. It felt more like an exercise in this country. That's how I felt anyway.
You didn't know what you were going into?
No. I had to keep your fingers crossed there.
And when you landed, what was the landing like?
Perfectly good landing. It's a very flat area and a big area, as you were seeing. And our landing was perfectly good. Although the passenger that I've come across, he said that he could see through the cockpit door what he thought was a haystack coming at us. But we were well clear of it. Made a perfectly normal landing, same as you would on a grass aerodrome or even a runway aerodrome.
Now you're famous among your friends for being very laid back about things, aren't you? About being very relaxed. Yes, nothing really phases you very much.
Yeah.
And tell me what you did when you landed. You just arrived in the scene of a battle.
Yeah.
And what did you do?
Well, all the passengers jumped out, formed a circle around the hawser glider, facing outwards, prone, and with the shots and things like that up in all round, you know, in the woods close by. And Blackie and I, the pilots, had been working for 3.5 hours flying the glider, which is hard work. 10 minutes in, on, 10 minutes off. If you weren't flying, you were map reading, so you never had time to drink your coffee. And we had a thermos flask there. So as soon as we landed, we found a thermos flask and we started drinking it. But we were well protected because we had 2-ply wood and perspex to protect us against any rifle fire, I think that.
What was your impression of that? And when did it suddenly change from being, you know, everything under control to suddenly you realised actually you're in the maelstrom, you're in the middle of an awful conflict? Well, and what was your impression of that?
I got the impression that we were all spread out so much, and we're such a distance from the bridge. And the fact is that the gliders and the paratroops going in took 3 days to do. And so we've never had any full strength at any time. And so we were, as I said, spread out so much that with our puny little aircraft, with our puny little guns and rifles, no heavy equipment, the only tank we had was a 7.5-ton Tetrak. Was it Tetrak? 7.5-ton tank, which is touchy in comparison with the Tiger tank that the Germans had. And by the time that the 3 days had developed, they were now on the offensive. Well, this is the last thing you want on an airborne operation, to take 3 days and prior warning to the Germans.
You mean they had enough time to prepare?
They got enough time in that time, yeah.
So when did you realise that things were going wrong?
Well, the second day.
What was that like? Can you describe that?
Well, we were in the woods then, and a bit of mortar firing going on.
What were you doing in the woods?
Eh?
What were you doing in the woods?
Making tea. No, all our sections were spread out in front of us, and I was in squadron headquarters. And
What were you doing? What was your job?
no particular job, just a handyman, because there was 6 of us in the squadron headquarters: a major, captain, lieutenant, sergeant major, and 2 sergeants. So we had to do whatever was necessary, you know.
So you were making tea?
Well, I mean, I know I was brewing up in a slit trench once, on the 2nd day, I think it was, and resupply came down close by. One parachute came in with a Roman candle, that is, the parachute didn't open, and landed very close to us, and as it came whistling towards, the major jumped into the slit trench alongside me. So I said, "Oh, be careful, Major, you nearly upset the tea."
Tell us about the circumstances of your capture.
I saw the section in front being taken over by the Germans, by which time you could hear Germans all over the place. You know, they were yelling and talking and chatting to each other, and they were swamping us because we were spread out so thinly. And anyway, I decided I'd better get back to the Major and tell him that the section in front of us had itself gone now. So when I got back to where I'd left them originally, the squadron headquarters, there was nobody there. And at that stage of the battle, we didn't know the geography of the place. We didn't know what was happening where. So I thought, well, which way am I to go? So I thought I'd lie doggo until night time, and
What do you mean?
well, keep quiet till night time, and then make contact with the Dutch people. So I lay in a slit trench, and I could see the Germans approaching. So I laid my head back on the ground and tipped the helmet up a bit so it looked as if I was lying dead, and successfully hoodwinked him. The finest acting of my career.
We've got a surprise for you. We've got a surprise for you.
Eh?
We've got a surprise for you.
You haven't.
I have. Norman Savage.
Oh, you know me.
Yeah, yeah. How are you doing, Bill?
All right,
Is it
thank
Bill
you.
or Taffy? What do you like to be called?
I'll leave it to you.
Oh, okay, Taffy.
Taffy.
How you
And
doing?
this is Ted
Yeah.
Clegg.
This is on a Corporal Clegg.
Who?
Corporal Ted Clegg, who was also on your glider, the glider you flew in 60
yeah.
years ago.
Yeah. Oh, nice
Pleased
to
to
see
meet
you both. Yeah.
Pleased to meet you. Yeah,
Pleased
sure
to
am.
meet you.
Was he a good pilot?
Good
got
landing.
us there
Made a
anyway.
very good landing,
Trump
didn't
didn't
he?
get there.
Yeah, were any of you
Rocked in the
airsick
sea.
at all?
Oh, there is a thing about you fellas. I never charge you tickets. Each one of you owes me tuppence.
Oh, well, that's all money, so I don't have any all money.
Yeah.
What's your overall impression of that?
Well, looking back now, the leadership, too many mistakes and errors, I think, was made here. That's only my impression. And when you're in battle, the adrenaline builds up, doesn't it? And you become individual-minded, and you do things on your own because you'd nobody giving orders, was there? I mean, there's nobody to say, hey, you could come over, do this, do that. You did it on your own. It's survival. And, according to the leaders, only old men and young soldiers
Important strategically because it's high
high ground. Yes.
My position, I don't know if you won't know this.
And wanted to know whatever happened to all your men on the glider, didn't you?
He found it from Major Royal. He was the adjutant at the depot when I got to the depot.
What do you know about him?
Oh, he's a friend of David Niven, the film star. I think he must have been drinking friend.
And how did he die, do you know?
Well, he's leading his section of some sort in an attack, and he was shot.